Alright, we're going to discuss Jay-Z's album, 444. Because you know what? When I first saw that, I thought that was so brilliant what he did. And I'm explaining to you why I think it's so brilliant. You see, the number 4 times 3, which, you know, you look at it, it's 3 odd numbers of 4. And that it adds up to an even number of 12, you know, and that's the key to it right there, the 12. I'm going to break the 12 down to you in 2 parts. First, the 12 zodiac signs, and then I'm going to continue with the number 12, which is also 1 and 2, which is 3, which shows you how it comes down to the trinity, or what you call duality, because with 2, there's always going to be duality. But you see, with 3, it always becomes what's called unity. That's what makes everything unite, because 1 could go into 1, it could go into 2, and it could go into 3. But if it's 2, it's always going to be 1 and 1. It's always going to be duality. So, you know, the fact that he took 3 even numbers and made it come out to an even number, but it's still an odd number, being that it comes down to 3, which brings back to the grammatical number of it would be 9. The source power of it is 9, which is God. So basically, all 444 is the number 9, you know. So the thing to this that we're going to get back to, let me get back to the 12 now. It's important that you understand what he was doing when he said the 12. The 12 is the story of the angels. This is all about angels and who controls the world and how the world works. He's directed you to a movie to go see, you know, The Last Day or whatever it's called, 444. And you will see it as like a bugged down movie if you just watch it in its plain context, like say in your material sense. But it got a deeper spiritual meaning to it. You see, it's about three beings that came here to Earth. You got what's called star seeds, you got indigo seed, you got crystal seed, and you got the rainbow seeds. These started dropping off in the 60s. They gave birth to them. These is only special kids. These kids is the kids of the angels, or the Nephalim. These ones that came here this time is different from all the other ones because of the simple fact they were mixed. Being that the old Genesis 6 story come into play right now, when the angels came down and had sex with men, they created what's called the Nephilims. You see, the Nephilims is what's called demons. They got now a way of power. When the flood came, they took them all, got rid of them. But they didn't get rid of them. They moved up in hierarchy because energy cannot be destroyed just when it's created. You understand? So all they did was move up in ranks. When I say move up in ranks, they over us in the atmosphere. They control the hemisphere one above. So they're in control of this world. You know, they're in the air, the clouds, the water, well, what you would call the 4 elements. And the 4 elements is what we're composed of. We're called a composite being because we're composed of elements. Now, in the elements, it's about 4 trillion different species of spirits that's on you. So you have to understand how you work, what your skin is. It's just calcified salt crystals or light crystals that calcified to make what we call flesh with carbon or whatever, but that's a different topic. I want to stick to this about angels. So what goes on now with the 12 is the 12 signs of the Zodiac. The 12 signs of the Zodiac, you already know it governs us as human beings. You know, you got a Zodiac sign. With your Zodiac sign, you got attributes that come along with that Zodiac sign. Well, those attributes is like your lower animal self. That lower animal self does not just mean you and your physical body on a physical plane. It means you got a demonic nature to you. These is because you got those attributes from the 9 planets. It's really 12, but they only let you know about 9. But you got there's 12 planets. It was 13 if you include the asteroid belts. That's another group of gods that came down here and did a lot of technology and blew up themselves, and they wound up destroying the atmosphere of Mars and creating the ice age up on Earth. So, you know, that was the 13th planet that came. But aside from that, it's 12 planets ruled by 12 gods. These 12 gods is the 12 angels: Michael, Gabriel, Sariel, Raphael, and so forth. All 12 of them governed from Saturn all the way down to the moon. Each one of them now have a prominence and a radiance with a frequency to it. Also, they're not just a physical body, it's a planetary body with an invisible spiritual body to it, or what you call a magnetic field that is literally an image that has intelligence. And they govern the different frequencies of us. We have many frequencies that we cannot see in many bodies. We only see the lowest, like we only see what's on the earth, but up in there, there's more stuff going on because they vibrate in their higher frequencies. Well, anyways, this is our aura, or whatever you call it, which is more of a control mechanism to control from your emotions to the movement of your body. So they really govern that without actually touching you, by just sending a different light color onto you and at a certain radiance and power to it and amperage, and it does its job. You know, you get mostly your dreams at nights, because at nights it's the prominence of the star. It's not as strong as the sun, so that's where we get the story in the daytime. You know, when Ra is there, everybody's good, and at nighttime the thieves come out, because those bandits is the stars that at night their little prominence of the magenta spectrum shines onto you, and it upgrades you. It gives you intelligence, it gives you thoughts, it gives you perception, it changes you, it gives you growth, it gives you everything that you need for you to exist in this world. So at times, these now spirits, people pray to them because they understood the science or nature science. These was given to us first by the Egyptians, or left last to us by the Egyptians first. Boy, here you could say by Zoroaster and the Chaldeans, probably even long before that. But there, you know, you got people who was the keepers. You know, you got the Essenes who was keepers, the Moors was keepers. These people preserved the knowledge. So was the Egyptians, the Chaldeans, all these was keepers, the Persians. And so this knowledge always was in our life circulating. So during now the time when Egypt had it, the rest of the world was in a lot of turmoil, because it was a lot of spirits going on. You have two forms of spirits. You got elemental spirit and you got elementary spirits. Elementary spirits meaning that your thoughts and your emotions create emotional spirits that's real. It goes in the air and it travels around and it attacks people. To get a good idea of what I'm talking about, if you listen to like one species, like say white people for instance, they'll have spirits of like demons with 3 heads, or a headless person with a skull in their hands, and they'll have shit that they do where they hug Baphomet and embrace them like the light, or what we call the sun and Ra, they'll call the sun Lucifer or whatever. So you got different interpretation of the same truth, but it's all hidden and you don't get no dosage of it, because we are taught to hate those. That's the real knowledge. It's called forbidden knowledge for that reason. So the more you go into these esoteric books, you will see that these truths came from the Egyptians, and they left them here a long time ago for us, because if you don't know the real history of the Egyptians, the magic that they did was they brought all the different entities, spirits, aliens, humanity together under one nation. Everybody was in Egypt sharing knowledge, information, mysticism, science. And so once Egypt empire fell apart, you know, Romans and Greeks, they're always up to something. And they took the knowledge and they spread it out in the form of what's called philosophy or whatever, while a lot of other people went underground, especially the Moors, who they passed on the knowledge to, and they kept it going, and they ruled the world. You could say it's like the Ark of the Covenant they gave them. And the Moors rocked for about 700 years. They ruled every continent on the planet Earth. So what wound up happening now, this knowledge, once it got to the Greeks and the Romans and they broke it down into philosophy, first it was more of the cause and effect was in it, which was the spiritual teachings of the angels. But then they took it out and broke it down into what's called science, where if it can be proven mathematically, then they'll write it down. Just like now, a lot of stuff that's out here in this world, they can't disclose it to y'all until they could prove it scientifically, to give y'all something that adds up to a cause and an effect. But if it's just something going on to see that they just observing, but they can't really make an understanding of it or give it a definition, they don't tell y'all. That stays private or undisclosed information. So It's millions of things going on here, you could say, on their undisclosable list compared to what they're able to disclose to us, which is really nothing. But most of it you experience it and see it for yourself, but you just don't understand it. So now, getting back to the story, the 12 planets is governed by the 12 angels. The 12 angels now is governed by 4 of what's called higher elders. These elders is what's called the cardinal points, north, west, east, south, or what you see is the fixed sign of the zodiac, which is the man's head, which is Aquarius. Then you got the scorpion, which is fire. Then you got the bull or the calf, which is earth. And you got the lion, which is, no, that's fire. And the scorpion will be water. So anyways, those is more deeper to it. You know, it's also what's called the Tetragrammaton, which is Yahhead, Vahed, whatever it is, y'all know what it is. Go look it up. Anyways, those still just mean air, fire, water, earth. It's the same science. So all this now, why is this so much prevalent? Even when you look at the Sphinx himself is a replica of a composite animal, a composite being. His face is of a human being. He has the wings of the eagle, which is fire, his face being representing air. And the lion will represent fire, because it's the fiery passion. To see the eagle or the wings, that represent water. That's for imagination, for willing things, for taking something out of the smoke. It's a smoky cloud, and then you put imagination to it and will in your thoughts, and it start not being smoke. It condenses now and become water, almost real. And when it finally become earth, which is the calf or the ox, it becomes solidified. So you could say the Tetragrammaton was a way of taking science and thoughts and mind and manifesting things into reality. That's the secret of the Jews, of how they lived their life in secret and always stood flourishing and stood money. They knew how to will things, and by isolating themselves and worshiping their gods, they was able to do it. So now back to this quick story. The 12 planets, which is the angels, is governed by 4 archangels. The 4 archangels is also called Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John under the gospel. They're also symbolically represented in a lot of images. Anything with 4 in it is them. Just like the kings list that nobody don't know, where you got like 4 or 5 kings or 8 kings that rule for 200,000 years. That's not the kings of this earth. That's the kings of the Zodiac. That's what they're called, kings. The archangels are kings. Underneath them, though, you got what's called dukes. Dukes now are the ones that are their representative that goes down and deal with the angels, or they come to you in person. So, but under a duke is like 100,000, sometimes 2 million. I even heard up to 1 trillion spirits come with them, so they never alone, and we filled with spirits here. These spirits now that's under them is all demons. So, you know, Michael and them, which we consider good or whatever, they're half demon, but their children, the demons themselves, the Nephalim, is full-blooded demons, and they have authority over us on earth as human beings because they're made of a higher divinity than us. You understand? They're from angels. We're the sons of demons and angels, so we're the lowest form of them. So they don't have to listen to us as far as on the hierarchy order. We have to take orders from them. And so what they do, we have 2 sides to our brain. We have what's called the conscious side and the subconscious side. You see, they don't teach you that your subconscious side is a pre-programming that works off the spiritual, meaning that it don't work off of physical things like you read and see. It work off of ghost images and looking in between the line and reminiscing on a thought to come to conclusion. It goes to the deeper meaning, and that's where your programming is at. So when you watch TV shows, a lot of times they'll put smoke clouds in there or high-pitched sounds that only your subconscious is able to pick up and read because it reads those type of signals. We do it unconsciously and don't know it. But those signals now comes to the front as consciousness after, I don't know, I can't give you the full exact way it's done because I'm still having it under investigation, but it's a trigger that triggers it and makes it your reality, make you act the way it out, carry it out like if it was a destiny. So Our subconscious, we have it in dreams, all types of things. These is what literally these beings or angels use to pre-program you to act out a certain way on your daily life or whatever. And it has what's called a trigger that it will automatically give you an instinct that you never knew you had, or upgrade in something that you never know, or do something or feel a certain way when somebody acts towards you. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because all of this now is written out in what's called the Kabbalah. If you want to understand it, go learn the Kabbalah, and you got what's called the Grimoires. It also teaches you. It's a whole bunch of books from ancient times that's banned in America, banned in Europe and England right now, so that we can't get this information and know the real truth. But you see, it's like you got to know the name of the demon so you could get it off of you. A lot of us don't realize we're composed of what's called dark shadow beings. It was the foundation of what the physical flesh had to lay itself on to live, because you got what's called the sun. Back when original creation came, the sun radiance and the energy was given off, the radiation was too strong. So what wound up happening, they couldn't make beings that could be on top of the earth. Spirits was first inside the earth as shadow beings. And then later on they started becoming more physical, like smoky, holographic, like, until they met up with aliens or whatever, and they co together and made up the DNA and the pineal, which gave people melanin, and melanin to people a purplish color like Buddha and all them, started walking the earth first. Then later on, as the sun's radiation died down, other species was able to come out the earth. And as the sun level of radiation died, people's colors started changing and looking different because the sun wasn't as strong. But the original people that walked the earth first, while the rest was inside the earth, was these dark purplish looking black people, because that was the only body that was able to sustain the radiation on top of the earth. So that's a little understanding of it. Now, we got demons here on this earth. We don't know what demons are. Demons is the wind. Demons is your migraine headache. Demons is the influences of wanting to go cheap. Demon make you have envy. Demon is a lust. All of these things that we don't understand is actually physically, if you was to look at it, dark shadow beings inside of you. And these dark shadow beings manifest as these characteristics of you, and then put your subconscious to sleep and make you act out these things through it. And you don't realize it. Look at it like when you was a child and you brought home a bad report card. And the first thing you want to do is not go home, so you hang out all day. And then when you do go home, you try to sneak in before everybody come or know when nobody's looking. You try to be on your best behavior, clean the house, fix everything up, do everything correct, just so you could avoid not coming straight up with the information. So we got already from birth a deceptive, cunning style. Even when we don't get our way, we sneaky about it. Sometimes we lied to our parents if somebody hit us or did something to us just to get that person in trouble. Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, these is demonic little things that's on top of us that we grow up and nurture. So now when we grow up, we still have these characteristics, and we take them up out on each other. A lot of us become caught up in other people's relationship, or was used as part of a game, especially the woman, because the woman from her, she turned 12 years old, men's is whistling at her, opening the doors for her, so she knows she gets certain things, and she have an expectation when she meet a man, and he got to carry out that expectation of how she was raised. And so with that in mind, we lower our standards to meet the demand of how it's supposed to be expected. And so this is how we get caught up in a whole nother cycle of not respecting what we was here to do. Instead, we wind up falling in what's called love, which is not love. It's like a form of animal love. Because if that person didn't want to be with you no more, you hate that person. So you never really loved them in the first place. You just loved the idea that they was with you. It was like a safety blanket. But anyway, this goes back now to why you have these demons on you. All of those is demonic spirit. That the greatest person to give a great example of it was Solomon. Solomon, the Wisdom of Solomon. If you ever read his other book, Testament of Solomon, or the Lesser Keys of Solomon, it teaches you that he left a book for us showing us all their demons, how they look, and what's their attributes. And I bear witness to it because I see those. I go into those spiritual worlds and I see the same thing the Egyptians see with the half animal, half human beings and all that. You know, that's one thing. Black people spirits, or the spirits from the Pleiades, because that's where we come from, they're really like morphic animals or whatever, that is half beast, half a regular animal, and half human. What we're made of, the same attributes. But we just look this way on the earthly form, but over us, those is really how our form look when we go back to our real selves. So they now is governed another world called the astral world. This astral world is governed over by those angels. And so when they attack us because they got two qualities. They got a good quality, which is called dharma, and a bad quality, which is called karma. Because God don't come down to us. He sent an angel, like he said, or a messenger. And the angels really don't come down here unless they come in to check a demon. What they do is send a demon to do whatever they're going to do to you. And that's who we worship. That's your Jehovah. That's your El. That's your Baal. That's every God, Allah. All of those is demons that we done took. You know, think about it, really, because if Jehovah is the God of Israel only, it's not the God of the nation of Africans. It's not the God of the nations of Europeans. They call them Gentiles, and they didn't want them to know their information. That's because that's a local deity. Right next door to them, the Akkadians, they had their Bel, or Murdoch. And then right there you had the Canaanites, who had their God El. So, and then in Egypt you had Osiris. So it was wrong for a king or a pharaoh to worship another god's king, and they'll rather die first. I mean, another king's god, they'll rather die first. But you see, we lost the context of what's going on, and somehow we all fell to Israel God, which is not a god. It's just a deity. It says when the Most High was giving out or breaking up or issuing out different nations. So there's somebody higher than that. That's the Most High. That's who we come from. That's who the Creator is. And, you know, it's not like how they say it is. It's a different story. But anyways, so we as people that we choose Christianity, Islam, Muslim, whatever the case may be, we don't really think it out. Because in doing so, you're saying that you choose this local God. And you say, I joined the war against all the other nations and all the other gods. And that is so inconsistent of a human being to come in this world and just join a faction to pick a fight. You could stand as an independent spirit, a soul of God, and that's it. The same way, if y'all believe in the Bible, when Jesus came, he wasn't following nobody. He wasn't part of nothing. How y'all come now and start following things that's local deity, and you don't understand that if you're a Muslim, you got something against the Christians, and you still partake in little childish games like that of the mind and of the material world with your spirit? Come on, you're a silly person, man. For real, for real. Think about it. You could go get your own knowledge. Put the damn book down. Ain't nobody in a book. There's no God in a book. What did the book do is psychologically program your subconscious, and you believe them things. What you're supposed to do is experience. You're sent here for experiences. Don't deny yourself from Chinese to Japanese to Jamaican, whatever it is. You have to experience it. You can't just read it in a book and say you experience it. Even though mine can, but mine have to be Zen. If you're not Zen to have a full understanding, you would know better than to cling to something. You don't cling to nothing. You just learn from it and go move and learn from the next one and learn from the next one. Then you come and you research it for yourself, and you come up with your own conclusion and make up your own. You follow your own. You govern yourself. But some of us, we don't. But anyway, these angels is over us watching us. It's in the Quran. It's in every book that when we came, we had guardian angels. So each one, whatever your zodiac sign is, you know, that's who your God is. And it's a whole bunch of mini gods that's under them. Like for Capricorn, you know, I think we ruled by somebody like Jesus or some funny thing. And, you know, we ruled also by Set and Ptah and Isis. All of these is the images you're going to see, the ghost images, which trickle down now to a whole bunch of demons or whatever you want to call them, deities like Thoth and all these other characters you see. And then they deal with us. They come down and visit us. That's why I talk about the horned ones or whatever, because it represents my zodiac sign, and that's really the low level of what you're going to see. If God was to come down, he will be riding in a horned one, just like you see they say he comes on a cloud. The clouds is where they're at. If you pay attention to clouds, the shapes of the clouds is the same thing the Egyptians draw. And it's the same shapes as dragons, entities, but they're not actually dragon entities. The cloud shape just represent a dimension or species or constellation, and they come down from that constellation in those shapes as protection. Sort of like if you go to the Garden of Eden and you're going to see two winged snakes guarding the garden, but when you go inside, it's a beautiful garden. But from the outside, it look like some dragons is out there or something. So don't get it twisted now with the knowledge. It look like they twist the knowledge to get people to believe and will what they want into existence. And if you don't be able to start realizing you can contort your thoughts and build whatever you want and will that into existence, you're never going to be able to change your situation. First thing you got to do is get off of your material self and expand your mind to get to your higher self, which is by relieving yourself from wants of these hobbies and these toys and these gadgets that the Europeans or whoever make. You know, I'm not saying Europeans or anybody, I'm just saying a corporate America, corporate Europe, corporate whatever. They all participate in taking our attention off of what we got to do and feeding us what's called elf waves. These low frequency waves that block out your magnetic field, making your DNA disconnect from connecting to your higher sources, because if you're not able to connect to your higher source, you're going to keep reliving this experience over and over again till you complete it. It's the cross, the 4 L's. These 4 L's is what makes up our course. Each one of them is a different side of the, you could say, the cross, and each one of them is a quarter of knowledge to make 360 degrees before you finish this whole dimension of this side of the world to go up to another one. And the earth has seven earths. Each one is vibrating at a different frequency. So when you see these spirits, don't think that spirits or demons don't come from someplace else. They're coming from a higher earth and a higher earth and a higher earth, trying to say, yo, y'all can't stay down here forever. The next cycle got to come through. Plants got to move up. Animals got to move up, and y'all got to move up. So, you know, it's just like the Egyptians say, God's changed. They do their time and they get in a whole new group. And it's time for us to ascend to the new group, and the next group's supposed to come in. And we're going to be the ones leading them by experience, not from reading books or anything, but by challenging yourself, challenging your mind, taking it to another level, exercising through meditations and yoga, and pushing your energy level, not physically picking up big rocks and big weights and all that. You know, which is cool, I hear you. But, you know, you got to do the same thing with the mind. See what you can do, pick up big objects with your mind. Try something different. You got to realize that what they made us believe we are is what we get complacent about and just settle for that. And everything is set out to destroy us, from every food we eat by a corporation to every information is misleading until you go teach yourself. Ask the why and keep researching until there's no more whys. You got your answer. So anyways now, so the 444 is caught up in that science right there of the angels. And at the end of the movie, the last day or whatever, you see they said that they're angels. So the story of the indigo baby and all the different seeds that came here is that they became drug addicts because they did not want to participate in life. So when you see a bum on the street or a person on drugs, it's their higher being that see life very boring and wasn't challenged by it and didn't want to participate in the monarchy and the leadership that was going on here. They know about them. All of them is connected, higher beings. They bought you your graffiti, your breakdancing, your rap music, all the stuff that the corporations done grabbed a hold of and put it into bondage and is reselling it to us. They try to uplift us to the next level, but as usual, there's always going to be some obstacles to stop them. So that's why you got this movie that's showing you, even though they're there on drugs, and even though they're white, and you got black people who wouldn't want to watch it because it's white, and it's very boring, and it looks like a bunch of people on drugs, you're going to see that they're going to show you little specific things. Like, listen to the Indian man talking. It's an Indian man telling you the truth of what the world is really about. Anything you want, you could use your imagination, imagine it. Your arms ain't real, your legs ain't real. Everything is inside of you. You think that's real. You looking at the world through a microscopic little cell that looks big, and you really believe it's real. It's not. You're not in something big. You're in something microscopic. and you're super microscopic. We just don't understand how life works. And so as you watch the movie, you're going to see that they're going to show demons and the dragon. She's drawing a dragon. This is what she's throwing on the paper. You see when she throw the paint on the paper, you see the images come up of the higher beings. They look kind of gruesome looking because they're not as good looking at us. And that she's showing you them, and they're showing you it. So the story is not really an acting movie. It's more of a visual movie. Look at the images that they're showing you. They're connecting you to your higher self and saying that there's no good or bad in your higher self, because your half of you is light and half of you is dark. Half of you belong to, if y'all believe in the devil or Lucifer, to him as his son, and you belong to God too as his son, like night and day. You can't just worship night when it's 24 hours in the day and half of it is dark. They worship the night too. There's people who live at night, and there's people who are living only in the day. So you have to respect both, and that's how we are. We're composite being of both of them. So that's what they're trying to tell you in the movie. So towards the end now, she draws the dragon into a portal, and they go in there and they die together. They took their life. And they wanted to go back because this wasn't their world. They wasn't from this world. So it wasn't the end of the world for everybody. It was just the end of the world for the angels. That's why at the end, the last words they say, and they was angels. So you get it? That's what this whole movie is about. He's trying to awaken you. He gave you a clue to go watch the movie. But if you don't know what you're watching, it's just like reading the Bible. You don't know what you're looking at or reading. You have to understand the significance of it, and it was sent to just people who's already ascended, that been in those worlds, that can understand the message to, hey, you're in the right direction, keep going. You know, I'm giving y'all the science straight up so y'all understand the secret behind it, because a lot of us got it twisted that the Illuminati's is bad. Nah, the Illuminati's is good. You're bad. You're demonic, and they're trying to help you. You just don't understand it. They separate themselves from society because you got two type of people. You got leaders and you got followers. Society follows Jay-Z. Y'all probably going to go buy his album, take the words apart and listen to it, when you should be go taking your own words apart, or your kids' words apart, or your mother's words apart, and go listen to those. But anyways, it's good to do that. It's always something to learn, and I congratulate the brother for teaching everybody, because without people like him, we would never even think about Illuminati, or even if they're bad or good. It's the narcissism in us. You know, narcissism is the fact that Narcissus was a Greek god or whatever that was so in love with himself. When he came down from the heavens, he saw his image and fell in love with it. And so he didn't want to touch nobody, shake nobody's hand. He thought everybody was just dirty or polluted, and sometimes didn't even answer people. And that's what we are. We became narcissists in our ways. We believe we're better than everybody else, and we don't want nothing else, and we don't have to learn anything else. Only thing we need is what's helping us with our pride, keep our pride going. But knowledge, wisdom, understanding, we're going to be always lacking that because of our pride. You got to learn every science, every culture, because each one of them is a different key of Solomon to give you the full understanding. So I hope this gives you an idea of what's really the 444 is about. It's just the number 12 broken down to the number 3, which is the number 9, 369. All the numbers of God, meaning one, unity. It's the story of the angels. Everything is about the angels. We can't live unless the angels let us. We die because the angels let us. And until you recognize that, you ain't going to understand what's going on. You see, that's why the holy priests and everything, they gave y'all a Bible, but behind their books, they practice what's called magic. You understand? Magic is the real thing. Magic now, that's when you're in touch with the 4 elements. The 4 elements now is entities. It's a whole bunch of entities. The whole system that I described for you of the astrological system that governed us before all of this started. So now that we have all of this astrological system, what they did was the priests and the fathers found out how to take the books and to summon these spirits and be one of their person on earth, and they just send them knowledge, intuition, give them books and stuff, and they feed it to the people. So you got races and nations of people who do it. That's like how the Jews got themselves in life and established themselves. The doggone people did it in Africa. You got many cultures in Egypt. Egypt did it. Everyone's had different gods.